go ahead and make an opening statement, then we'll open for questions.
Well, very difficult game. Maryland has been playing terrific basketball. They've been really, really hard to deal with defensively for a lot of teams here coming in. Last week at Wisconsin with their small ball lineup, the amount of threes they made against Michigan the other night with their 4s and 5s. So we were very concerned coming in the game with how to defend. But I thought our guys did a great job for the most part of being able to contain their front court from getting good threes. Dante Scott coming in the game has been fantastic, and didn't have a big scoring night. That was important, and I thought we did a decent job on their guards, kind of keeping them in front. But the tale of two halves really, was offensively. In the second half, we were a much different team. We were much more physical around the basket. It started with Trace. We were much more physical on the offensive glass. I know Race and Trace really started to get after it there. And, we were able to break the game open, I think, with a couple good swings, moved the ball, made a couple opportunistic shots and drives. And right when we got about the 12-minute mark, 10-minute mark, 8-minute mark, it sort of feels the same. You're in a game, you're up two, whatever it may be, and we hadn't been able to close here recently defensively. I thought that was a big difference tonight that it hadn't been. We just didn't give the avalanche of points up in the last 8 minutes of the game that we had done in the past. And so that was a positive. But anytime you can get a win in this league, right now you got to take it. And that was a good one for us. And we'll see where we go from there.
Tom?
Archie, just yesterday we talked about locking in at that 8-minute mark, and they went 9 possessions without scoring, and missed 7 shots, had 2 turnovers, and it seemed like the on-ball pressure was much better.
Yeah, this was a guard the ball game. It's just you're going to have to guard the ball against Maryland. There's a lot of 5-out leave. Their 4s and 5s can really cause problems. Like I said, especially Scott, taking guys off the dribble. But I thought Race Thompson probably had one of the best games of the season for our team. He had a double-double, but I thought his defense in particular in this game, guarding the dribble, was really, really important. He did a good job there. But our perimeter guys, for the most part, did a pretty good job of switching. It was a communication game where you're going to have to do a lot of switching. We switched more so than we had in the past here these last couple games, and this one we didn't get burned as much. But, yeah, I thought defensively we talked a lot about it all week, and we went into this game basically saying when you get to the 12-minute media, that's when the game has changed for us defensively. And I thought our guys were mindful of it and played pretty good defense, and were able to defensive rebound pretty well tonight. That rebound margin tonight, we haven't had that in a while. So only turned it over 10 times and rebounded the ball like that. He's going to give yourself a chance to win the game when you don't shoot the threes. For us, first half was abysmal offensively in general. Second half was much different.
Zach?
Sorry, I struggled with my mute button. Archie, I guess to that point, just how important was, particularly from Race and Trace, the rebounding effort, especially against a team where maybe you're going to face a lot of long rebounds. There's maybe going to be the danger of some of those second shots.
Yeah, second shots, Maryland's traditionally a very good rebounding team. I think Wiggins got one on us in the first half. And in the second half, they didn't get very many long ones. Maybe Scott got in there one late in the second half. But, the rebounding was huge. And, when Trace and Race rebound like that, offensively and defensively, we're a much better team. When our guards are having to go and get every ball, we're just not overly big enough sometimes to be able to hang in there on the glass. And tonight was a big guy rebounding game. Our big guys did a good job. Trace had 11 defensive and Race had 17. So those two guys got 18 defensive rebounds between the two of them. So that was really important. But, Trace was a big, obviously he flipped it around in the second half, which is what good players do. And I didn't think he could have played any weaker around the rim in the first half. And then in the second half, he was much more himself, jumping, rebounding, offensive stick backs, got fouled, and, really had a great second half for us.
Dustin?
Archie, what do you know about Armand Franklin's injury at this point, and what does it say for the rest of your guys that, especially on defense, they were able to guard the ball after losing one of your best defenders?
Yeah, Armand was out early, and I believe it's a rolled ankle. We tested it out a little bit there in the first half, said he couldn't go, so he's out. He'll probably be doubtful for these next 2 games as well. And, I think for our team, there's a good opportunity for some guys to get in there and play. And that's what's going to be needed here moving forward as we head in, to the rest of the season. Guys are going to have to step up, and when the numbers called, they're going to have to do a good job in the areas that they can. And the more experience they get, the better that they'll be. Jerome played a little bit on the perimeter tonight for the first time all season with Race and Trace. That's a lineup that we haven't done, but we're going to have to go to it now a little bit more. Anthony and Christian both played minutes in the first half for us. At one point, I think we had 3 freshmen on the floor for the first time in a long time in this game with Jordan, Anthony, and maybe even Trey or Christian again at the same time. So, but it's what's going to be needed. I mean, with fouls, injuries, that's what it's going to be called for. But guys stepped up tonight, hung in there, and we were able to pull this one out, which is a good win. And like I said, any win in this league right now, regardless of how you get it, it's a good win.
Peegs.
Hey, Archie, Jerome fouled on the 3 twice in a row, twice, and then you kept him in and he rewarded you with a couple threes himself. Just talk about sticking with him through there.
That's a tough question. He rewarded us.
He rewarded you with a couple threes for keeping him in there, after the fouling on the other opposing threes.
He needed to. Those were 2 really tough foul calls at the end of shot clocks, and when we had to stop. He's got to be more disciplined there fouling. And we've talked a lot to Jerome about that. I mean, it's being smart. Offensively, he stuck a big one for us, and then his second one, thank God it went in, because that's a questionable shot at that time of the game. But that's who he is. I think the more he plays, the more confidence he has. He was great on the boards. Unbelievable offensive step back, but I think Trace may have knocked it in, but he kept it alive. Like I said, he played the 3 tonight for us the first time all year, and on defense did a pretty good job. And then on offense, he can't shoot the ball for us, so we needed some added firepower. But I thought, just in general, the experience of the team out there, with Jerome, Rob, Al, Trace, and Race, putting our older group out there was, to me, the best thing to do at that stage of the game against this team. They've been out there together before, so we needed to finish better, and Jerome helped us do that.
Okay, Tyler, then we'll finish up with Rab Johns.
Coach, just with you guys struggling in the first half and then really bouncing back in the second half, can you kind of pinpoint what allows this team to be so resilient?
No, I mean, I think they work hard together, and they play to win. They want to win. I think every game that we play and we go out there, a team's going to kind of do a couple things to us, and it's an adjustment phase. But when you go 0 for 9 from 3 in the first half, it's frustrating, and I think sometimes this team gets down on itself and they're not scoring and the offense isn't going well. Sometimes it can hurt you defensively. They let it play a role in defensively. That didn't happen as much tonight, which was good to see. And guys stepped up and kept shooting. And we had a couple go in that we needed to go in, which was big. But, our first half, we'll have to really watch the film. But, we worked hard coming in against the zone. And I felt like we weren't as sharp against the zone. Sometimes, to be honest with you, we have to get Trace moving. We have to get him moving and going. He's got to get his motor going earlier in the game for us to be successful in the first half. He's such an important guy. When he goes 2 for 9 and we go 0 for 9 from 3 in the first half, you can't play much worse. But it was a 27-21 game, so we did okay defensively. And then I thought in the second half, we consistently played a lot better against the zone, but we were much more forceful around the basket. And then when they started to double, we got some inside outs and we got some good passing, and we were able to stick, thankfully 4 in the second half. Jerome obviously hit 2, Rob hit 1, and Al banged a big one when he hit his. But clearly, tonight wasn't our night, but we found a way to win.
Final question, Rab Johns.
Hey, Coach, why do you think Trace was able to flip the switch so much at halftime and just become so much more, just not only impactful, but just more dominant, more aggressive?
If I had that answer, Rab Johns, if I had that answer, I'd like to be able to tip him off a little bit earlier. The game started 20 minutes ago. If I had that answer, I'd give him that information. He's a guy that really thinks about the game coming in. He was worried about the double a few times. He told me he thought it was coming, and it didn't come, so he finished awkwardly. But halftime, he was fine. He looked at me and basically said, I'm ready to go. You know, I'm ready to go, and that's just who he is. He's a guy that has the ability to respond because he cares a lot, and he was a much different player in the second half. He had a big impact on the game, and you know, moving forward, hopefully we can get him in the first half to go a little bit earlier, especially in and around the basket. I think that's probably what frustrated him the most. He had some easy ones in and around the rim that he didn't put in. Yeah, thank you.